Are live. Eric Butler, we are live. This is real. Welcome back to Unauthorized Opinions, uopod.com. Like, share, subscribe.
It's pure propaganda and it's super cringe, by the way.
An unopened can of orange soda just chilling in the parking lot. I was like, yeah, I gotta vote for Trump, dude.
It's great here, a lot of fat chicks and a lot of screaming.
Your podcast sucks. It's mental, mate.
Good to hear from Lewis Brackpool at the top. Eric Butler, reporting Opine. How are you?
Yes, sir. We you know what? We are I guess we have to start we're gonna have to start it this way for the next few months. It's hot. It's hot.
It's getting hot here too. I tried to start the lawnmower yesterday, couldn't get it to work. I'm not as much of a man as I thought I was. I think the gas is old. In Arizona, I imagine it's just all sand or burnt grass, so I'll take that win there.
Yeah,
Hello to Evan Sus McC, the first person in the chat. Of course, if you have a longer message for us, you can super chat it to us through my YouTube channel, YouTube/Andrew Says, and we'll read the longer messages or questions on air. But for some hellos and stuff, we'll throw it out there to you guys. Hello to everybody on Getter. Hello to all viewers on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Please subscribe. Please share. And all audio listeners across all podcasting accounts. We love you. Last week, we had a lot of viewers for the CNN town hall. It was a good time had by all. You know, a little bit of Trump avoiding questions, a little bit or a lot of bit of CNN's Kaitlan Collins making stuff up. But we've got a lot of CNN stuff to get to here, Eric, off the top, off the dome, as they say. That's my rap city in the basement. Side note, there's a video we have, Eric, of reading a pronoun book. I don't want to get too offensive here in the first, I think it's 15 minutes of the show. You're not supposed to say anything offensive.
The word pronoun is not offensive. Well,
I know. That's the one I'm using in place of other things. But we did a book review of a pronoun book, and we were reminded in that review of a time on BET where Lil Wayne and Baby, you know, his the bald guy, put some respect on my name, as many people would think of him as his first or most famous comment. We were both reminded of a time where they kissed on the lips on BT, and Eric was like, "No, it was on Rap City they kissed," and I was like, "No, Eric, you're wrong. I used to watch 106 in Park every day, not actually every day, but whenever." You're wrong, Eric. Turns out they kissed on both shows on the lips. It was really weird. Great segue to Anderson Cooper. We've got Kaitlan Collins coming up next, but we'll get to Anderson Cooper first. Kaitlan Collins talking about what some would allege to be the great replacement theory when she worked for Daily Caller. But Anderson Cooper
in 2015, was it? It wasn't.
I don't know, but it's when she worked for. She had to have been a few years younger. We'll get to her. But Anderson Cooper was shocked and appalled at Donald Trump because they had him on the network, which apparently you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to have people running for president on the network. It justifies them. It legitimizes them. Let's go ahead and see what the Coops got to say here.
Many of you have.
And, you know, it reads, Eric, what does it read like? He's giving you a tornado warning, a nuclear fallout warning.
Look, bro, these people, he's walking right into creating another meme of himself, right? Like what you saw. Like, we are going to tell you how you
actually saw.
Yeah. We're going to tell you how you were supposed to feel. And then he goes on to say that this is about 50% of the country. And it's like, yeah. So should
all right, let's hear it before we give it all away.
Okay.
He's nuts, yeah.
Many of you have expressed deep anger and disappointment. Many of you are upset that someone who attempted to destroy our democracy was invited to sit on a stage in front of a crowd of Republican voters to answer questions and predictably continued to spew lie after lie after lie. And I get it. It was disturbing. It was disturbing to see and hear that person refer to a black law enforcement officer as a thug, an adjective he used many times to describe black men, and call Kaitlan Collins, the moderator, nasty, which is what he calls any woman who stands up to him. It was disturbing to hear him speak so highly of QAnon conspirators and insurrectionists who assaulted police officers in our democracy on January 6th. And it was awful to hear him spread ridiculous lies about the election. And it was certainly disturbing to hear that audience, young and old, our fellow citizens, people who love their kids and go to church, laugh and applaud his lies and his continued defamation of a woman who, according to a jury of his peers, he sexually abused and defamed. As good a job as Kaitlan Collins did trying to fact check him, it is impossible to fact check fully because he lies so shamelessly. Now, many of you think CNN shouldn't have given him any platform to speak, and I understand the anger about that. Giving him the audience, the time, I get that.
He's got great
But this is
vocal
what I
fry.
also get. The man you were so disturbed to see and hear from last night, that man is the front runner for the Republican nomination for president. And according to polling, no other Republican is even close. That man you were so upset to hear from last night, he may be president of the United States in less than 2 years. And that audience that upset you, that's a sampling of about half the country. They are your family members, your neighbors, and they are voting. And many said they're voting for him. Now, maybe you haven't been paying attention to him since he left office. Maybe you've been enjoying not hearing from him, thinking it can't happen again. Some investigation is going to stop him. Well, it hasn't so far. So if last night showed anything, it showed it can't happen again. It is happening again. He hasn't changed, and he is running hard. You have every right to be outraged today and angry and never watch this network again.
Running hard.
But do you think staying in your silo and only listening to people you agree with is going to make that person go away?
Well, I'm okay with what he said at the end there, Eric, that you should listen to people that disagree with you. But I think if we are fairly reading between the lines here, that what I don't call him Don Lemon, what Anderson Cooper is saying is that half the country is insane. He's saying that even though he's going to stand there and lie, they're going to applaud him. And these are people you know, and these people who are going to vote, and they're your family
They live in
members.
your house, yeah.
And they're insane, is what he's saying. Even though, a lot of them voted for Obama and then Bush and Clinton. I mean, if somebody's been able to vote for the past 30 years, they've very possibly voted for Clinton, Bush, Obama, and Trump. So they must be insane. At what point did their insanity take over is my question, Anderson Cooper. And what point did they become good people when they voted for Obama twice? Because we know for a fact there's a big crossover. CNN themselves have covered, the people in Ohio and Michigan who voted for Obama and then Trump. It just feels like 2016 again, where they're saying, this person's absolutely insane. Trump is so insane, and half the country's insane, so you better watch out. But he gets a little bit of credit at the end for saying you can't be in a silo, which is an odd thing to say. Like that's an echo chamber, as people say, in the silo with the grain and the storage. Gets a little bit of points with me for that at the end, but overall, I think he's saying that you better watch out because half the country is insane, and if you don't do the right thing, which is vote for the guy who can't think and doesn't know where he is, then you're a bad person. Fair?
Yeah. Okay. So this is a pretty. I mean, did he write this? Did he go off script? I mean, he came up with this to convince CNN viewers, and they're still out there. I read some of the comments on the videos, and they truly do not have a grasp of anything outside of their little bubble that they've created. So yes, I guess the bar is so low that he will get credit for finally after 6 or 7 years of pretending that other people just don't exist, finally saying, well, maybe you should sometimes listen to things that you don't agree with. Yeah, Anderson, you think? And that's what you guys have been trying to stop. Was it Brian Stelter, who of course is no longer with the network, and Fredo Cuomo? I mean, a bunch of these people have basically said, and I'm paraphrasing here, don't listen to anybody else. We're the ones telling you the truth. Obviously, Fredo famously said about the email leaks that it's illegal. If you read this, it's illegal for you to understand this. So for you to even look at this. So everything you're getting is directly from us. So they've always been liars. And I think I said this last week, but it bears repeating. CNN obviously needs to start. They need to implode. There is no saving it. You got to get rid of everybody from the janitor in the mailroom, the chef, the cook, the security guard. Everybody has to go. It doesn't work anymore. It's completely rotten all the way to the core. And his echo chamber thing, yes, that's fine. That's fair. It's just obviously, bro, it's been years of this, of you guys trying to stop people from hearing things outside of your realm of possibility, and now you want to pretend like, well, maybe you should listen. I know it was there were very scary words. He said the word thug and nasty, and that's terrible stuff. But maybe you guys should consider listening to somebody with another opinion. And then last thing here, there was a very telling point that when he says, well, something's going to stop him, one of these investigations, it's like, dude, you're literally just admitting that you're creating stuff. This establishment is creating stuff to throw at him to keep him from being president. I mean, in the same week, we have this E. Jean Carroll lady, and we have obviously the tax returns and then classified documents. Now, that wasn't all in the same week, but ever since the first day, since inauguration day, they've been throwing things at him, right? We all remember Russia, Russia, Russia for 3 whole years. They dropped it like a hot potato, pivoted on a dime and said it's Ukraine. And then you fast forward to where 2 years, he's not even president for 2 years and they're still throwing stuff at him. And I know I'm forgetting one, right? It was the E. Jean Carroll stuff, whatever the Manhattan, what was the Manhattan DA going after him for? The Stormy Daniels things. So that was like in the span of in less than a month. And then that's not even accounting the tax returns. That's not even including all this other stuff. So I guess my point is the bar is so low that Anderson Cooper here is finally admitting that maybe you should listen to other people. And he's kind of saying the quiet part out loud and admitting that, yeah, all these investigations that we've been throwing, this terrible coverage that we've been doing, this awful biased stuff that we've been doing for nearly a decade now, that's not going to stop him. It's like, bro, yeah, congratulations, Anderson, you made it. And this is an old guy, bro. Like, why are you being such a weird, sniveling little weasel, bro? It's disgusting.
Well, famously, Anderson Cooper did work for the CIA. He was an intern for a semester, which we all do when we're trying to become journalists. I mean, I went to journalism, broadcast journalism, radio, and public relations. Didn't have too many opportunities to work for CSIS, Canada's intelligence. There was no like program there. And then you just, become biggest anchor on the biggest network. It just happens that way.
Anderson the Cooper, Vanderbilt family, right?
That's right. Okay. His family literally invented the railway, like, and then owns a university. So he's a cajillionaire. His mother, who is just like a random socialite, came up with one of the most famous jean brands. So like they obviously get pushed to the top. So lots of problems over at CNN.
All these investigations, it's not going to stop him. We've thrown everything at the wall, and he's still running hard. Shut up, Anderson.
This idea you have of to clear everything out, yes, that would probably work if you want to actually, make a profit. But I can picture CNN being the same as, like a bad basketball team, like the Minnesota Timberwolves or something. What I'm trying to say is some of these networks are pet projects for billionaires, the way a bad sports team doesn't make any money and is still allowed to be open. So I don't know if that's how CNN is treated, but it probably is, given the fact that they don't like to change. I mean,
yeah, we do know this, that there are several corporations, entities, companies where, yes, they care about making money, but that's not really the bottom line because they know they have overlords to serve.
Indeed. I see a couple people asking with the Twitter CEO. I just pulled up a video from Louis Brackpool on that. So we'll talk about that after a few more subjects. We will get to any more super chats at the time. So stick around. There's an order in the chaos of unauthorized opinions, believe it or not. What is that what they say? Order to chaos? I don't know. Kaitlan Collins, so the host
to the madness.
That too. Masters of Mayhem, even. Masters of the Universe, your favorite movie from the 80s. No, that's white people thing, I guess. He-Man, Okay, anyways, Kaitlan Collins was the one who hosted Trump there. And it turns out she worked for Daily Caller, which was started by Tucker Carlson and some other guy whose name I don't remember. And
I have a bone to pick with them.
We know. Yep, we do. Okay. Eric has a known gripe, which we'll express maybe in a paid format one day, just like I will. Maybe I have some things to express about other places too. You can't say anything for the rest of your life. Anyways, Kaitlan Collins used to work for them, and she talked basically about, these are my words, conjecture, not legally binding, no actual evidence, Your Honor. But she seemed to be talking about, allegedly, the Great Replacement Theory, the idea that a foreign populace is brought in to replace the native populace, no matter what race or color they are, doesn't matter. They're brought in to basically replace the voters, so that the people who bring them in want them to vote for them. So whether it's Irish people bringing in Northern Irish people so that they'll vote for them, or Australians bringing in New Zealanders so that they'll vote for a certain party. This is what Kaitlan Collins seems to be talking about, but she does focus on George Soros. So we're going to bring that up.
Capital.
The
I
background
think that's
noise
a bad
you're going
word.
to hear.
I can't even say that. I feel like you can't even say that. It's
What?
like it's like Voldemort. You can't say Soros. It gets flagged.
Right. He doesn't exist. So there's some background chatter in this Fox News clip from Fox and Friends. So just note that that's not from us.
From our nation's capital. Kaitlan, what does that mean? What's George Soros trying to do with the immigration crisis?
Good morning. Okay, so George Soros is this foreign-born left-wing guy who essentially wants to change the nature of our country. And in this data dump, one of the memos was about the refugee crisis. And they made 3 points. They think that they've been successful at influencing immigration policy across the world. They think that the refugee crisis is an opportunity to continue doing so. And they think the refugee crisis is the new normal. And George Soros is this guy who is a staunch advocate for open borders. He wants people to be able to go wherever they want, whenever they want, for whatever reason. And for him, he sees this immigration policy, this crisis, as a vehicle to further his immigration agenda.
You know what I think it is, Eric? I think that background noise is somebody's like screen recorder talking to them. So a younger Kaitlan Collins, less furrowed brow, less wrinkles at the time. Because she was less angry is what I'm getting at. I think what she was getting at there, of course, is the fact that George Soros, he hires these he helps fund these DAs run for office to let people out of jail. I keep saying hire, maybe, but he helps fund people, helps people get into office so that they have less concern about the border and about crime and stuff like that. Basically, a communist dream. And what you have to wonder now here is Kaitlan Collins, was she lying when she was at the Daily Caller about her views and then moved to CNN and was happier to get there? Is she lying at CNN about her true views because she's happy to be there? Or does she still hold these views and just doesn't talk about them? Because we know they don't talk about this on CNN other than to call it a conspiracy theory. So that's which lane are you bowling down, Eric? Lying then, lying now, or just happy in her job and doesn't want to screw it up by saying something that rocks the boat?
I think my guess would be she just was completely turned out. She was completely corrupted, right? And this is kind of a question that I've asked a long time. It's like, media is a little bit different from politics, of course, but when you're talking about the political establishment and regime, it's all just one disgusting, incestuous family. Literally, you can see the meme floating around of all the people who are married and this revolving door of White House and all that stuff. Anyways, she got her foot in the door, and then somebody bought her out. I mean, maybe that's the conspiracy in itself, but it's like, okay, you work for Daily Caller. I'm sure you're, whatever, making decent money, a younger Kaitlan Collins. And then as she's trying to, make more money, whatever, do her, boss bitch thing or whatever, somebody says, if you toe the line, we're going to give you $1 million. I don't think it's that far fetched. I don't think it's that crazy to say that somebody just approached her and was like, dude, if you parrot these talking points, we're going to pay you more. And really quickly too, and that's the sort of the thing, like with the politicians, right? When a young fresh face, AOC is an outlier, but if you think about like, I don't want to name any names because I don't want to smear anybody, but they get in and they're all for the people and people love them and the right wing is cheering them on and making thug life memes and all sorts of stuff, and then a year or two goes by and they're completely bought and paid for. So I guess, do you go in like Frank from It's Always Sunny once said, like, I see a bunch of jerk offs get into politics just for the payout. Like, do you go in with a corrupted mind, or does anybody in today's current times actually go in wanting to help people? It's all a complete mess. Nobody can be trusted, and we've done this to ourselves. It's very unfortunate.
What I think is the most likely scenario is that she goes into a job where she doesn't mind not talking about certain things. You hear this a lot with people who have left bigger companies, and they say, in general, I align with the views, but for some things you can't, like it's agreed upon that you're not supposed to go against the company view in that sense. And we've heard about people from moving to right wing companies. We've heard about that when people stop working at CNN, Limitless Project Veritas whistleblowers from companies that people at Facebook and Twitter and everything. So I think it really depends on where you are in life, your status. Maybe Kaitlan Collins was taking an entry level job at any news company she could. She needed the money. Maybe she did. Maybe she really believed in that. Maybe she really believes in CNN.
I don't think
It's
she
hard to
believes in
tell.
anything. I don't think she believes in anything.
That's the point I'm trying to really get at, is that I think if you go to CNN, then it's pretty obvious where you may lie, unless usually people go to a different place and they give out more of themselves. They give up more of they showcase more of their actual beliefs. I don't think you can do that if you go over to CNN or MSNBC.
I'll
Or
go to
maybe even
CNN.
Fox.
CNN, if you're listening, anybody, Chris Licht or whatever, I will go to CNN. Just however we can come up with a number, and I will just throw everything else out the window. It all goes out the window, and I will parrot every single talking point for,
Wow.
we're talking. Just hit me up, Chris. Licht, whatever his name
You
is.
need to go to work for Chris Cuomo is where you'd be most happy. It's a New Yorker. He must have a fitness facility on site, which means a basketball court for you. And that's not a race thing. I know you like basketball. He probably hits golf courses like you do. I think you'd be most happy in a Chris Cuomo assistant production scenario.
Andrew, I think Andrew, right? Did you see that clip of him
Yes.
lambasting the left? Like
I don't believe him
it's
for a
just
second.
well, look, it's just so funny to me that when I was in New York, I mean, I hated this guy. Like he literally destroyed my life, and it only got exponentially worse. It's crazy.
Now he's
It's
completely
crazy to
different.
think.
Now he doesn't believe in it.
Well, no, it's crazy to think that a man who was that, I mean, he was literally doing press conferences every day, basically calling himself the king. And like, if you want to go to work, then you need to pick an approved job that I say is okay, which is a roundabout way of saying like, we're going to do communism now. And I thought it was so terrible that I thought that was rock bottom, but I was wrong. Hochul, Kickback Kathy, and her lieutenant governor, remember him, Brian Benjamin, who was arrested, the lieutenant governor. Do you think Kickback Kathy didn't know anything about that? I'm sorry, I'm getting off track, but my point is, I didn't think it could get any worse than Andrew Cuomo. It obviously got exponentially worse, and now he seems like a voice of reason, like crazy.
That's just a way for him to try to get, donations or something, or run for something else. So we're switching gears from the news world to the world of slurs, I guess. We got ourselves a Oakland Athletics. Am I right? Yeah, Oakland A's announcer. I've heard of him before, Glenn Kuiper. I mean, the Oakland A's are one of the worst teams ever. So it's not like I watch them. And they're leaving Oakland, correct?
As I understand it. I'm not exactly sure when, but
everybody's leaving Oakland, but
well, they're all gone. Yeah, they're all gone. All three of their teams, and anybody familiar with the area will immediately. Huh?
Is Golden State out of San Francisco?
No, they're in San Francisco. So they left Oakland a few years. I think they left Oakland in 18 or 19. And
so it's time to leave San Francisco too. The 49ers, them.
Well, the Niners aren't in San Francisco, right?
No, Santa Clara, is it?
Yeah, they're still called the San Francisco 49ers, obviously, but they are in Santa Clara.
Teams do that. The Ottawa Senators hockey team isn't in Ottawa either. It's in
well,
a suburb.
it's obviously for a nationwide audience that doesn't understand that. But the thing here, before we get too deep into it, I want to make it clear that with the A's leaving, everybody knows that they are going to have nothing, and the A's were the last team still there, and the area immediately surrounding both of these arenas, the football stadium and the was football and baseball, and then basketball, across the parking lot. It's completely surrounded by tents. I mean, and this is why the A's. I mean, it's completely surrounded by tents. And I used to live at the Coliseum BART station, and I promise you, bro, I said I never felt quite as unsafe anywhere except for Skid Row in Los Angeles, which is true. But I've been so paranoid walking from the BART station, the Coliseum BART station, which is, where the A's and the Giants, not the Giants, but a big station. We're not talking like a little side station. We're talking about a huge station. The walk from that station to your car at the end of the parking lot is nerve-wracking to say the least.
Wow.
But
I can't imagine
digress.
that in Toronto, because Toronto has this thing where there's a giant station called Union Station, connects to the Scotiabank Arena, which is Raptors and Maple Leafs, and then you can walk through this path to get to the Blue Jay Stadium, and there's restaurants on the way, and there's the Ripley's Aquarium on the way, and that would be terrible for the city if that was a dangerous thing. So I can only imagine. So Glenn Kuiper has been suspended after he uttered a racial slur during the team's Friday evening broadcast, an apparent slip up while discussing a visit to the Negro League Baseball Museum in Kansas City. And we have that for you here right now.
We had a phenomenal day today. Negro League Museum and Arthur Bryant's Barbecue. We had a phenomenal day today. Negro League Museum and Arthur Bryant's Barbecue.
Arthur Bryant's Barbecue. Eric, thoughts?
Where are we at? Well, it's pathetic, bro. It's totally pathetic. It's clearly an accident. I don't think this guy no. I mean, they say it's an accident right in the headline, but do we really think that this guy is out to really, to put the screws to the black people in baseball? Absolutely not. It's like the same. And maybe we should follow up on this, but the lady, shout out Paulie Walnuts. We should do a Sopranos thing. That'd be very hard to do with HBO. Anyways, remember a couple months ago, the lady who said "for shizzle my nizzle," the meteorologist lady in Tennessee or Louisiana or something. She said "for shizzle my nizzle" while they were covering a story about Snoop Dogg launching a wine. So basically doing an ad for him. I don't know if it was a paid, editorial or whatever it was, but they were talking about his new product launch, and she said "for shizzle my nizzle," and they got rid of her or they suspended her. Something. Charlemagne the God actually came out in defense of her. Snoop Dogg, I don't know if he actually said anything, but it's very reminiscent of that. And then I actually Googled what does "for shizzle my nizzle" mean, and it said, and it may have changed by now. I should have screenshot it. I probably do have a screenshot somewhere. It said, "For sure, my friend." You know what I mean? So this is very similar to that, right? Like it's a slip up, and
We want to play it?
yeah, you can play it. 14 seconds. Do it.
Come up with.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Before we know it, she'd have a Snoop Dogg tattoo on her shoulder.
For shizzle, my nizzle.
I'm telling you. Julie, what you think about that? Huh, she says.
The guy on the right actually kind of looks offended, which is sad to say the least.
Well, I actually hadn't seen the clip. I'd only read the article, but I mean, it kind of has a similar vibe to it, no? Right? Like she's obviously trying to be fun. She's trying to be funny. She's like a weird old news lady, and this other guy he's trying to be personable and tell him about his day out. And they are just looking for a scalp. There's like, they're on edge. They're like, all right, where is it like let's find a little bit of. Let's find a little bit. Oh, sorry. Let's find a little bit of racism. We're gonna get one today. It's like they're out there. They're perched on the ledge, like I don't know, some weirdo Media Matters hack shill, just waiting for somebody to say something. It's like, dude, why do you even care, bro? Like, what difference does this make to your day? I can't hear you. Technical difficulties.
Yeah, that happens sometimes when I press mute.
Okay.
Obviously nobody would like it and nobody should tolerate that if it's on purpose. If he's going out there, listen, I'm going to say this on purpose, but you don't know what's in somebody's heart. You don't know what's in somebody's mind unless you have some sort of evidence of this guy doing racist things. I think what the thing is to do, it's like take him off the air for a week with pay and be like, people are going to forget about this and we'll bring you back after the road trip or whatever it is. Just for, PR. You have to do something for PR, even though I disagree with it. I mean, in a perfect world, you do nothing, and he apologizes, says, I obviously didn't mean that. But, we live in a world. Dallas Braden, Mike Krukov expressed support for Glenn Kuiper after on-air slur. Two prominent Bay Area sports broadcasting figures have expressed support for A's commentator, Glenn Kuiper.
After he seemed to say a racial slur. Guys, they I mean, this is just it's just ridiculous. It's really pathetic, like how far we've fallen. You got these guys, these super righteous, I mean, who made the initial complaint? Like, yeah, okay, it got shuffled around some meme accounts, some social media stuff, but like, who was actually angry about it? Who just, I'm never gonna watch baseball again. Really? It's ridiculous, bro.
All right, we've got another slur in the works here. It's not really in the works. It happened. It is from a West Virginia men's basketball head coach. West Virginia, shout out Barstool Sports. That's where they hold their rough and rowdy, amateur boxing thing all the time. Is in West Virginia. Ooh, this is really small. Let's see what we can do about that.
That's what she said.
Eric, my brother's wife came over here last week, and they live on the east coast of Canada. And let me tell you, this must be what you think I sound like. She was about this. Oh, hey there, buddy, we're doing all this. And I was like, you've lived there for like 5 years and you sound like this now. I just laughed my ass off. I texted my brother after, and he's like, yeah, I've really been training her.
Oh no, what's that about? It kind of has like a little Minnesota, like Wisconsin sort of vibe.
Yes,
like,
that's pretty much what anywhere that's like rural Canada is where people sound like that. Mainly in Ontario and the East Coast.
A couple of fellas.
Obviously they're French. They don't sound like that. My dad also came down. He's French and doesn't have an accent still. Shout out to my dad. He's old. West Virginia men's basketball. Well, I say that because French is his first language, but he doesn't have an accent, even though that's all he speaks now. West Virginia University men's basketball head coach Bob Huggins, not giving out hugs, agreed Wednesday to a 3-game suspension and $1 million pay cut as penance for following use of an anti-gay slur on Monday that will surely get Unauthorized Opinions episode number 104 demonetized. But me and Eric agreed that we wanted people to actually hear what the person said, whether you agree with it or not. Transparency is key because you read the stuff and it actually has the same amount of letters as other swear words. And you can't always believe. I know at least here in Ontario, Canada, there has been complaints of things that are slurs. And sometimes when they get revealed, it's not actually a slur. And I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but it does happen where, of course, you get people who believe in one thing. Like, I mean, you can't call a woman a man and a man a woman these days. That could be a slur. Dead naming can be a slur. So I think it's important to let people hear it, just like we heard in the last clip, where everybody can hear that and say, yeah, that's really bad. But if we have the last clip, Eric censored, the baseball player announcer censored, and then we have the news broadcaster censored, we're not getting a difference between the actual N-word and somebody quoting something that people said for like 5 to 6 years all across society. As for shizzle my nizzle is what everybody was saying, just like I'm Rick James, bitch. What everybody was saying of every race, color, and creed for 5 years. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference if you actually didn't hear the uncensored version or read it uncensored.
And I just want to say that it also makes it a little bit confusing because when I first read this article, I thought, don't know who that is. I thought that they were mad about he made a joke, and some articles are covering the joke and some articles aren't covering the joke, where he said it must be Transformer night. Right. So it makes it confusing when they can't say the actual thing.
So this is a channel called Black and White Sports. It's funny enough, I had recently just watched this guy for the first time the other day, but this is the only place I could find the uncensored clip. Everybody censored it in their text and in their audio, but he's got it from some actual audio page. Again, this is Black and White Sports, 200K followers on YouTube if you're interested. Let's take a listen at these slurs.
Not going to play the whole 2-minute clip, but listen in here.
No, we're above the fracas, aren't we? No problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I tell you what, any school that can throw rubber penises on the floor and then say they didn't do it, by God, they can get away with anything.
Rubber penis. Was this
I think that was at the Crosstown Shootout, wasn't it?
I think it was transgender night, wasn't it?
What?
Was that it?
It was a Crosstown Shootout. Yeah, no, what it was all those fags, those Catholic fags, I think.
So right there, you heard that.
That's it. My Catholic brother would be very offended by that. I got I think an interesting take on this is, it's clearly West Virginia, part of the South, I'm told. Clearly these guys are joking around is the first part. But what I find most interesting, Eric, is that they have no problem joking around about transgenderism and dildos and whatnot. but this guy says that, and then that's too far for them. So I'm of the creed that it's all okay or none of it's okay. These guys are joking around, and you can clearly see they were a little uncomfortable, or clearly hear they were a little uncomfortable, even as you hear the rest of the clip. They're pretty uncomfortable with what he said. They know they're going to get in trouble, but it's just odd that they're, they can say all these other stuff, all these other things, and they're not upset about that. But there's still this Christian line that they're not willing to pass for some reason. I don't quite understand it, Eric. I think I'm not saying that on the air. I'm not saying the N word on the air either.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that I'm going to say these things, but I just find it's odd that it's like, I don't know. It's hard for me to be mad and tell people where they're joking lies. And was it worth $1 million? I guess maybe is a question.
No, it should. No, of course it shouldn't cost him $1 million. It's absolutely ridiculous, bro. Like, look, I think there's two, and you just mentioned them that you just cannot say. They will ruin your life. If there's two words that you can say, but I think we're at the point where we have to start the pendulum swinging back, bro. So we should just go back to the old days where where you can say whatever it is you want. So this way the sting is taken away from it, right? They're so taboo that when somebody says it, it's like, oh my virgin ears, I'm so sad. I can't believe you would just, like, who cares, bro? Like, we're all adults.
Flanders.
You listen to rap music. Well, they probably don't listen to rap music, but think about that sort of double standard, right? I mean, you got guys out there quite literally pointing prop weapons directly into the camera and waving guns around John Morant style. And I mean, just dropping some of the dirtiest lyrics. And look, I think about a guy like Future. I like Future, but he says some pretty disgusting things. The classic example is obviously Eminem. So exactly. So why are people so scared by a couple of words? It's completely fake. Obviously, their outrage is completely fake. And the only reason that I think this wasn't actually worse for him is probably because it was in West Virginia, and I think they're fairly, normal, right? As far as like, their weirdo leftist ideologies and extreme, they want to call regular people extreme. It's all absolutely backwards. But I think it probably would have been a lot worse. I mean, if he was the coach for, I don't know, UCLA, he'd be in a jail cell right now. So I don't know, man. I think it's all pretty pathetic. And I think we should sort of, now, I'm not going to, I guess I can't really say this since I'm not going to be the first one to do it, because I don't want, my YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, this whole show to be taken down. But it's like, we need to do something to sort of kick the door in so it's not so scary anymore. And I think everybody, anybody who watches the show knows I'm a big Kanye West fan, but I think he started to do that, right? Like, yes, what Kanye West says from time to time is absolutely outrageous, but just stop, as they would say, let's normalize it. Let's normalize people just, you know what? If you don't like it, don't listen to it. Do you think anybody was going to listen to that? This is a much bigger story now than it would have been had they been like, all right, maybe after it goes off, you say, all right, dude, watch it. Maybe don't do that anymore, but you don't they're doing this, what is it? The finger trap problem, or the Barbra Streisand effect, or something like that, where they're blowing it all out of proportion and it doesn't matter. And they're taking away his money. And that's another way they try to, like they do with John Morant, they try to re-educate you. They try to beat you into submission. Like, this is what you believe. This is what you believe. And so they ruin your life. And now they're going to go through these trainings. Oh, we have to do trainings. Do you think that's really going to work, bro? No, it's just going to make people more creeped out. And last thing, promise. It's crazy to me. Do you remember that video I sent you yesterday or the day before or something, of a job posting? It had like all these crazy genders. I mean, and you say, okay, we've been doing that for 5 years or whatever. But think about that.
At least.
think about how they can, on a professional, quote unquote professional website, put all that stuff, ask you about your gender identity, ask you about your sexual preferences.
Yeah, that's
all
weird.
Of that. That's all so weird. And you're supposed to like take this in stride, but there's one little 3-letter word, or I guess 6, whatever, that is just a bridge too far, right? We're going to ask you about your sexual preferences on a job application. We're going to ask you about your gender identity.
And that's okay.
One person, and that's okay. But if one person says this utters this word that that hurts my little ears, then it's just a bridge too far. It's crazy, bro.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like it goes so far to one side, but they don't allow it to go so far to the other side. And I think it is starting some of these, words, not that the words themselves are coming back, but the ability to use them in a joking manner is coming back, definitely in comedy. And it remains to be seen. This guy has to do sensitivity training where they're going to treat him like he's insane, obviously. And
No,
$1
he was
million cut.
probably overpaid. So look, I'm not mad.
4.15 million.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say is now we've learned that a West Virginia basketball coach makes over $4 million and he can afford $1 million pay cut and be more than fine. Meanwhile, it's been like 2 years since college players have been able to make money.
And
which
I
is
don't think
absolutely
it
insane.
I don't think it costs that much to live in West Virginia. He's not living
Yeah, I
in a
know.
New York City condo.
Yeah. Something else I've noticed about college sports is now it's all like basically
Boring.
they're turning college sports into like a breeding ground for like how can I put this? It goes like Snapchat, then Instagram, then OnlyFans, that sort of things. Now there's a you know what I'm trying to say? Basically they're getting into they're trying to exploit girls who are in college sports now is the way I see it.
Oh yeah.
Um
Those hot
um,
Miami twins.
no comment. Who was I
Fair.
gonna say? The Lopez's, the basketball player guys. Really tall guys with the afros.
Yeah, Brooke
Brooke
Lopez and I
Brooks,
forget
I
the other
think.
one.
Solid
Oh, no.
guys, solid afros. Now we can get to this super chat that we had from earlier, which said any words on the Twitter CEO. Now I wanted to play this Louis Brackpool video explaining it a bit because I think he did a good job. And if you're not in the know, bless you.
I'm gonna
'cause it's
send
with
you an
Twitter.
article too, just to take a look
On
at.
this woman.
Yeah, I just pulled up. This was one of the first that came up on Google. I think it's pretty funny.
So Twitter's new CEO, Elon Musk, hires her. Of course, everybody's like, well, look what she's done in the past. And then, of course, you've got the, people who just, it's, how there's Trump people who say no matter what he does, he's the greatest person of all time. And like, of course, he has his criticisms and people like him still, and they should like him still. But to be like, he's never said anything wrong. That's basically people who have moved on to Elon Musk and say the same thing. Basically, it's sort of the idea that Elon Musk is the intellectuals, Donald Trump, where it's like, I actually support Elon Musk. He does all this, and he also can say nothing wrong. Let's see what Lewis said.
CEO of Twitter.
Yeah, I spoke to her on the phone. Seemed quite nice. So, feel a bit sick, really. Not nerves, excitement, really. Not sexual.
I've actually been sent her credentials here, so let's have a little look. Chairman at NBCU. Interesting, okay. Board director. Fair enough. Global leader. One of the executive chairs for the World Economic Forum. Oh, for fuck's
sake.
David?
Huh? Yeah.
Every time. Elon Musk put out a tweet last night saying, excited to announce that I've hired a new CEO for X/Twitter. She will be starting in less than 6 weeks. My role will transition to being executive chair and CTO, overseeing product, software, system operations. We're all getting banned again.
We are here to talk about masking up or packing up. I promise you, we're doing good so far.
Cringe.
Just keep your distance, get your hands washed often, get tested often, and wear your mask.
That's a hat trick. Fuck off.
Considering Yacarino is the WEF's task force on future of work and sits on the WEF's media, entertainment, and culture industry, governors steer...
Wait, so what does this company have to do with it? What is this Yacarino? Oh, that's her name.
Yeah,
It sounded like a company. I'm like, what the hell is Yacarino? Some sort of pasta company?
that's her.
Okay. So she was the chairman.
Linda, yeah. Still is, apparently. I don't know when this screenshot was taken.
Yeah. So the thing is, just to interject here, we'll finish it, but it has been argued that people who are named on the World Economic Forum's website of global leaders and young global leaders have been put on there without their consent. I don't believe it, but it is a claim that I cannot
Isn't Tulsi
prove
Gabbard
otherwise.
even on there?
So was Pierre Poilievre, the Canadian Conservative guys, a lot of people.
Dan
Vladimir
Crenshaw.
Putin's on there. Yeah. So I can't prove otherwise, but I don't believe it is what I'll say. I think that they don't just choose you without you knowing. They probably told you, and then you never had a problem with it until it became a problem. But if she is not only on that, but also the chairwoman, who do you think you are, of the World Economic Forum's Task Force on Future of Work, and on their media, entertainment, and culture, I think we all know what the World Economic Forum wants to do in media, entertainment, culture, and how they want work to go. So she's on a committee. Let's watch a bit more. What I'm saying is that's no good. That's no good.
Hearing committee. Yeah. No thanks. We don't want her. The World Economic Forum is one of the most damaging and anti-human organizations you can ever get. As Carl Benjamin points out, bro, of all the people on earth to choose, why the executive chair of the World Economic Forum? This is like appointing the mouth of Sauron and explaining to the hobbits that the Shire is in safe hands.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, there's a lot of British stuff in here.
Surely Elon Musk can't be that naive to think hiring someone from the World Economic Forum is going to make his platform any better and more free speech. The bird is free. Yeah, well, the bird will now own nothing and be happy. You might as well put it back in the cage and kick it to a load of fucking crackheads. To push back on the World Economic Forum, the best way is to be discriminative against them. Anyone who's applying for a job and has on their CV that they worked for the World Economic Forum and proudly put it on their CV, you're not getting a job here. Sorry. See you later. Oh, discriminatory? Yes, it is.
Get out. Get out. I mean it.
British.
I am discriminating against you. What next? The blue check mark is going to be pictures of fucking bugs. Oh, I'm just sick of it. Sick of it. Only time will tell what's going to happen, but in my personal opinion, I don't think that Twitter is going to be made any better or any more free speech than it already is. Because nothing ever good will come from this organization. It needs to be rejected fully.
Alright, so
that's some
shout
hype
out
music.
Yeah, shout
Very
out Louis
safe
Bracknell,
music.
who he looks like your Wish Paul Joseph Watson, your bargain brand Paul Joseph Watson.
I'm gonna ask Eric Butler, report and opine: is Louis Bracknell turning an artistic corner for the better?
Yes,
I think he is. I think that was a good video. But Louis, if you're watching, complaint: you can't just have only British memes. Luckily I know that's British Office, just because I've seen clips of it before. But we can't just have only British memes. It's not going to work for us. Eric's enraged.
No, I mean, look, I agree with you. We can't have only British memes, but I can enjoy some good British memes. Shout out to Peep Show. I think if you've never seen that, go ahead and watch Peep Show. It's absolutely
That's not
hilarious.
the wannabe jackass one, is it? No, that's I don't remember.
No,
what that
Peep
one
Show.
is
You've
called.
probably seen the meme of it. There's one meme where the guy's saying the secret ingredient is crime. I don't know if you've seen that meme.
I haven't seen that. I think I've heard of it.
It's pretty funny. And that's the one it comes from. It's a great show. So shout out the British memes. But this article that I sent you, I just think
Good
it's
news.
funny.
Elon Musk is stepping down. What were you say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say this. They've kind of put themselves in the Bud Light situation where nobody's gonna like them now. You know, it's like
A
Elon
veteran
was doing
television
okay.
show executive will be departing. That's another thing. NBC Universal is very left wing. Obviously, it still wants to make some money, but it also, Trump was on there, and they hated him as soon as he left. And you don't get to be a TV executive without, playing the game a little bit. Plus, World Economic Forum. We've got a couple comments here. Polly Walnuts, and I watched the Sopranos movie last night. Not very great. Not great.
The prequel,
Saints of Newark. Yeah, that's the disease of wokeness. Always looking for something to be offended over. Okay, that was about something else. This is Melman. Is it possible she's a closet conservative, Eric?
Who, this Linda lady, Yasindra or whatever? What's her name? What's the last name again? Yasinaro, Yakara, whatever. Is it possible? I mean, yeah, it's possible, right? I mean, anything is possible. Literally, nothing is off the table. But everything's been so, the waters have been so muddied, it's impossible to tell at this point. But I would say very simply, yes, simply because anything is possible. And shout out Twitch.
Shout out Kevin Garnett for saying anything is possible, first and foremost. I guess we're getting close to the time here, so we could have some final thoughts on this woman. I don't think you can work that high. You can be on a World Economic Forum committee and be a closet conservative and work for NBC Universal, be a closet. That's more likely you can be a closet conservative on a TV station. I mean, there's plenty of actors and people like that who have come out of the woodworks in the past.
Can you? I'm sorry. I think one thing that we need to highlight, though, I think is can you pull the article back up and just read the headline, just the title of the article? I don't even know if we saw that.
From
I think
them.
Yeah.
The new Twitter CEO is a former Trump appointee who follows libs of TikTok. So they're not happy either.
Exactly. So they've now linked her to Trump, while the right wing or the closet conservatives, the common sense people are, of course, linking her to the WEF, and they've also stray shots for libs of TikTok for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
So I think they've Elon doesn't care. Obviously, he's the world's richest man, or he goes back and forth with Jeff Bezos or whatever. So he doesn't really care.
This is her list of evil follows. She follows Ron DeSantis, Rand Paul, Tim Scott, Mike Pompeo, Kayleigh McEnany, Linda McMahon, Jesse Waters, Joe Rogan, the least self-aware man, even in the world of podcasting.
This is obviously a hit piece from an LGBTQI.
I follow Jake Tapper. Can't stand them. Follow MSNBC. I follow CNN. You can't go by what somebody believes by who they follow. There's people I follow that you would think that I agree with that I don't agree with.
I follow loads of left-wing stuff because you got to keep your enemies closer. You know what I'm saying? It makes sense.
I follow Eric.
It's absolutely hilarious when you see some of the stuff that you post. Like, they post it and they want their audience to know about it. And this is why they hate libs of TikTok so much, is that they've literally posted to their people and they don't want other people to see it. Right? Like, it's just our little secret. And full circle from the first story, this is what Anderson Cooper was saying. It's like, well, you should maybe you have a right to never watch us again because that was so disturbing. But maybe also you could maybe like listen to somebody that you don't agree with, and maybe they're not the evil racist that we painted them for the last 7 years, and we didn't care about how racist he was for 15 seasons on The Apprentice. So this is it. And I just thought it was a funny hit piece, bro. And it's one of the top searches on Google. Them. Do you think they're going to shoot it straight? Even as Elon Musk, one of his 12 kids or whatever is identifying as they, them, and they don't care. Because if you hit 99 out of 100% talking points, they're still going to crush you into submission for missing the last one.
Indeed. Eric is reporting Opine on Instagram. I am at Andrew Does. And of course, you're watching on Twitter, Getter, Twitch, or one of the YouTube channels. Please subscribe and share for whatever you're on. If you're on an audio podcast listening on Google, probably on Spotify, iHeartRadio, all of them, Amazon Podcast, please give us a rating and a review. Of course, of 5 stars. I won't even suggest 4.5 if that's possible. 5 stars. And if you can go to patreon.com/UOPod. Anybody watching right now, if you like the show, if you're following the show, please subscribe to our Patreon. It's not that much money. I recently, unsubscribed from Netflix, and then I was like, I'm going to dish out money to some creators. So if you're interested in doing stuff like that, I support Ben Bankus is one. This other guy who I won't name is another one. He makes a lot of good conspiracy videos, frankly. So please contribute to us on there, and it'll eventually, hopefully, let us do this full time. I'll never stop writing. I'll never stop doing other stuff. But obviously, everybody
AI is going to write for you very soon.
That's the problem. AI, everybody.
Speaking of conspiracies, I would love to shamelessly plug some videos that I got, fairly non-political in downtown Phoenix last week. We were talking conspiracies with, I guess, some inebriated. Is it Phoenicians? I don't even know how you.
Where?
From I don't know, Phoenix people.
Phoenicians.
I don't know. I don't know what you call them. I mean, I guess I'm one of.
I don't know.
Phoenixians, Phoenix people. So yeah, we're on the conspiracy. I got a couple more of those coming. So wait for that. I would do like a full length video, but I know people have the attention span of a gnat. So shout out anybody who's still here, by the way.
Shout out Louis Brackpool. Shout out Bar Stools, Rough and Rowdy. Really just shout out Anderson Cooper and Kaitlan Collins doing the Lord's work. I won't say which Lord, the Dark Lord. Last thing, Eric, you ever seen the movie Spawn?
No, I don't remember it. If I did,
It's
I
on
don't remember
Netflix.
it.
It's from the 90s. Michael Jai White plays Spawn. It's actually way worse than I remember. It's some of the worst CGI of all time. I'll just leave you guys with that. See you next time. Buy his book, patreon.com/UOPod. Bye.
Turn it up, Jordan.